Hey everybody, it's Will with Spectra, and today we are filming the final episode of Touch a Truck on the Road. So we thought it was only fitting to finish things off out on the water. We've done the land, we went up in the air, so today being out on the water is going to be a real treat. So stay tuned and check out what watercraft we're exploring on the final episode of Touch a Truck on the Road.
It's a hike metal product made in Wheatley, Ontario. It's a 34-foot hull, overall 38 feet long. It's 11 feet wide, so 11-foot beam, which is how wide it is, and it's 11 feet high. It's 9 tons of pure aluminum. It's a fully aluminum boat. It has 1,000 liters of fuel down below, with twin 340 diesel engines for 680 horses. We can go about 3 days without stopping. It's a comfort boat. It's a really good rough water boat. It's a deep compatibility. We have a refrigerator on board. We have some food supplies for long searches where I've been out for 16 hours. It's not fun sometimes. We have water and food supplies on board. We have full instrumentation, full radar capabilities, and jerk botting on board. So we can go out at night safely and come back safely. This is an extremely great boat for policing all around, and most police forces in Ontario have this boat if they're lucky. And Toronto, I believe, has 4 of them. I believe he has like 17 of these. Very expensive, but really good, safe, rough water boat, and that's what you need to go out safely, come home safely. When it's rough out there and all the boats are scattering to come into the harbor, we're going out because somebody's in trouble. So we need to have a really good boat.
So these things will self-inflate. You go 6 inches underwater and they'll automatically inflate. If they don't, there's a little lever under here. So you grab this here, you give it a yank. I wouldn't do it right now.
No, I know.
And it'll
Pop right open.
It'll self-inflate.
So these are a lot easier to wear than the big.
Correct, yeah. So because we're usually crawling all over stuff and things, crawling all over people's boats, looking at their gear and stuff, this helps a lot. We wear our life jackets all the time. I can't tell everybody else to wear their life jackets if I'm not doing it. And yes, I'm a good swimmer and all that kind of stuff, but these are cold water lakes. So yes, the top couple of feet of water are nice and warm, but if I was to go under and take some water in, or if I had to tread water, because my muscles are sensitive, this will help a lot. 2 large harbors. This is Whitby, the Whitby Yacht Club, the town of Whitby, or the port of Whitby here. We have another harbor like this one that's about probably 3 or 4 times its size in Pickering. And then we have a couple of smaller ports in Wilson and Oshawa, which is all commercial stuff. They do agricultural stuff, they do steel, they do asphalt, a couple of other things. So there's where you get your 400 and 500 foot ships coming in there. You have the port of Bowmanville, as well as the port of Newcastle. You get a lot of charter fishermen out of there, so there's a huge commercial fishery out here. Last time I checked, there's somewhere between 300 and 400 commercial boats that do charter fishing and stuff like that, so you can hire them. They come with their own unique circumstances because they have to have a special license, they have to have insurance, they have to have special safety gear. They can have these, but they also have to have other life jackets, etc.
So it sounds like you guys have a lot of water coverage that you guys are responsible for.
Yeah, because traditionally up until the past couple of years, a lot of stuff has been pleasure boat stuff, kind of like cottage policing. But as Durham region grows and things are developing and going on, we're seeing a lot more commercial as well as industrial stuff going on. Again, we have St. Mary's Cement, which bring in large barges, and they're coming and going. And then Oshawa is growing. So the port of Oshawa and Hamilton, Burlington have amalgamated. So there's a lot more ships coming in than there used to be. Now, because of COVID this year, there hasn't been as much, but come next year and the year following, that's going to multiply because they're going to have to try to catch up.
So how fast can this boat go, Rob?
It will do, our top speed currently is about 39 knots, which is about 75 kilometers an hour, something like that. But our old top speed was about 28 knots, so the new engines make a huge difference in our response time.
So you're probably loving these then, eh?
Oh yeah. It's like driving a totally new boat. The new engines are, it's different to drive, it's different to operate, the steering's different. It went from fly-by-wire to electronics, so now there's no resistance in the wheel ever. So it's really nice to drive.
Very smooth.
Yeah.
As I'm sitting here, I'm noticing I'm not bouncing, almost hitting my head because these seats are actually shock absorbing. So that makes a big difference too, I'm assuming, when you're out here cutting through some of these waves, when your seats are just, rather than static, they're actually absorbing a lot of that shock.
Yeah, you try and absorb with your legs too. You've got your legs grounded out, so you try and absorb with your legs, but the seats take a lot of the shock. And it's all about the boat operation too. So I've got our trim plates down all the way right now, so I'm burying our bow into the water. If I pull the trim plates up, you can feel the bow lift, but it would hit a lot more as opposed to plowing through. So it's sort of all in using all the options available to you to make the most comfortable ride possible. Because being out here for 8-9 hours, operating in, say, some not nice weather, it'll take a toll on your body. So you want to have as comfortable a ride as possible. So, of course, while maintaining your lookout and all that stuff, you don't want to put that stuff on the shoal or anything like that. So we use our charts and our radar all the time. You're sitting in the navigator seat, so I both watch my chart and my navigator watches his chart. So then the chances of us hitting something that we can see, maybe hitting something we can't see, are reduced to almost zero, which is what you want. But anything you have available to you that can help you doing that, by law you have to use, and it'd be silly not to. If you have a radar, you should be using it all the time.
Especially at night in darker situations or poor weather conditions where
We've
it
had,
might be foggy or whiteout conditions.
We've had collisions that could have been avoided if the occupants were using a radar. And it's sad, but it's true. And we've also avoided collisions where, say, going up the lake on Scugog, where somebody's in a cottage boat with no lights after the fireworks, and we see them on the radar, and you don't see them in the water, so you slow down and realize that they're there, and you probably would have driven over the top of them had you not have a radar on board at the time. So it has saved us a lot of time. You can see that center one, that's a weather window. So even if water splashes on it, it's spinning at 2,800 RPM, and the water just, with centrifugal force, just spins right off.
So there will never be any water that stays
Right, so
on.
even though it's splashing on the middle window, it never goes on it just spins off the weather window. It's fantastic. In cold weather, it's got a heater on it, so you can always see out the front no matter how bad the weather is.
So Mike, being I guess the one with the most knowledge we'll go with on this boat, for someone that may suffer seasickness, what are some tips for those that may encounter seasickness while being out on a boat?
Well, the biggest thing is to look at the horizon. Because if you're looking down all the time at your feet or downstairs, you're bouncing up and down, your brain doesn't know what you're seeing because you're going up and down, and your brain doesn't compute. So that's why everybody will say, look at the horizon, your horizon's going up and down, so your body and your brain knows why you're moving up and down. And that's the key to seasickness. A lot of people try ginger, a lot of people try, there's a magnet you put on your wrist, different things that work for different people. But for me, and I've been seasick a couple of times just because I was looking down all the time. And as soon as you come up, it takes a little while, but it can come back to normal because then your brain sees why you're going up and down.
Big difference in sound.
They actually screw their way through the water. So they're screwing straight through, regardless of what the waves are doing. They're just pushing through it. Everything else will move. They'll just go straight through.
Yeah, because back here it does feel like it's the smoothest area of the ride. Even from the navigation chair and stuff with the suspension, that was still pretty bumpy. Whereas back here, it's pretty comfortable. It's not like jumping out all over the place.
Yeah, that's going to be on spray a little bit.
Yeah, but it's a nice day. We can't complain too much, right?
Well, that's the same. If you don't want to get wet, don't go near the water. So down here, we have our own little washroom here. We also carry special rescue suits. They're basically rescue suits, so these things you could pretty much survive in the water for days on end. They're really hot. They're made of a really expensive insulation. It doesn't take long to put one on, but they're completely waterproof, and they're what we call inherently buoyant, so they float. So this is something we call a line launcher. So if we can't get close to someone's boat or to the beach and we have to actually launch something into them to either pull them out or get them close to us, we can actually use kind of like a special gun. It fires a really light line or a rope. And these things here are kind of like miniature rockets. They're just high compressed air, and we can launch these things about 200-300 feet.
Wow.
And they'll just kind of pull a rope or a line far away.
So if you can't get close enough to them for whatever reason, there might be rocks or other obstacles, you guys would pull out this tool.
We can pull that tool, and we can actually fire a line at them.
Okay.
And usually we practice with it all the time. We're pretty good. We can actually get a nice skinny line right over the bow. They can grab hold of that, and we can move
Tie it off
back
and tow.
forth.
Okay. Well, that wraps up today's episode, as well as the entire series of our Touch a Truck on the Road. We want to thank you guys for staying tuned into us, and if you haven't checked out all 4 of the episodes, make sure you go onto our YouTube channel and check them out there. We hope next year we're back to somewhat normalcy and we're able to host this event back on site. We know we love it almost as much as you guys. So let us know what your favorite episode was and what your favorite vehicle was. We also really want to thank the community partners that stepped up and allowed us to come out to their site, check out the vehicles, and explore it with them. So thank you to all of them. Thank you to you guys. Hopefully next year we'll be able to host the event again on site, and we'll see you guys all real soon.